Mike Tyson, he's like, man, you're the Mexican monster.
I put the first ever boxing fight night in Club 11 and it went wild.
That place was like off the chain. Old P. Diddy was a couple boosts down.
I've been boxing my whole life and I've been in there with some of the best world champions since I was 14 years old.
You got your title stripped by doing a little bit of cocaine.
I remember one day I looked at myself in the mirror and like, man, I don't know who I am.
I spent every cent into setting up a private boxing gym through COVID, and I was training people in the apartment and in the parking lots.
It's not about how hard you can hit, it's how hard you can get hit and come back.
Mr. Jake Paul, if he fought a current world champion, would it be a no contest, like that's getting ridiculous? Or
so what I tell people about Jake Paul is,
who would you say is the best of all time right now?
The top of my list is
what it is, Brad Lee back again with another episode of Dropping Bombs. Today in the studio, folks. Well, not in the studio, but coming from Miami into the studio. I got two badasses for you. You guys have probably heard of both of them. David Benavidez, obviously world boxing champion. Light heavyweight champion of the world. Dude, number one, how does that feel?
It feels amazing, man. You know, this has been a lifelong dream, you know, since I was a little kid. I started boxing at 3 years old. I'm 28 now. I have 26 years boxing. So, you know, it feels amazing, you know, but we still have a lot more work to do. And, you know, I'm just very grateful with the opportunities I've had. And I'm grateful and happy with what I've done in my career thus far.
That's awesome. I think everybody's dreams to walk around as the world champion. So that's awesome. And then we got Mateo Attalla, who's a fighter himself, but obviously had over 200 fights, but now he's like a badass in the business world. He owns Boxer, BOXR, brand, fight center. It's like a fight center. It's not just boxing. It's MMA. It's freaking apparel. Like, dude, you've blown that thing up to a major degree. Talk about that for a minute.
Yeah, the amazing thing is, you know, like, I got to bring God into it. You know, without God, I wouldn't be where I am today. It's been a crazy journey. You know, it's been a roller coaster. Thinking, you know, that I would become a world champion one day, but here I am today, being able to cater to the best fighters in the world, to the community, to the people, to the kids, to people that just need a place to come and train and get their mind off things, you know, and to make that impact and fill in that void that everybody needs, which is the health industry, you know, and so I've been able to go down this path to make a difference and impact lives. And it's been an incredible journey. And I'm just grateful to be on this with you today, to be able to share, you know, information about how this has all come to light.
And you guys are relatively still young. You're under 30 years old, both of you, correct?
Yeah.
Damn, dude. So
I'm turning 33 next week.
So, but just barely over 30. David, what are you, 28?
Yeah, 28. I turn 29 this December.
So basically, you guys are youngsters. I remember when old guys would call me a youngster, and I'd be like, "Dude, I ain't a youngster. You're just old." But dude, you know, now you guys to me are like youngsters, but you've accomplished so much. I got questions for both of you. I should have done two different podcasts, but I'm glad to have you both at once. But I'm going to bounce back and forth because David, number one, starting to box at 3 years old, is that your dad just like smacking you upside the head and telling you, get your hands up, or did you go to a gym?
No, it was definitely my dad training me. My dad has been my only trainer my whole life. He actually started with my brother, Jose Benavidez, also a world-class fighter. He was an ex-world champion, and he's 5 years older than me. So when he was 8 years old, you know, I was 3 years old, and we had a setup in the garage in the gym. So when my dad would train my brother, I was always the little brother going in there, checking up, peeking my head in. My dad told me, go away. And then until one day he said, you know what? Come in here. We're going to put you into the training as well. And it's been history since then.
And did you just cling to it right away?
To be honest with you, I didn't cling. Not really. When I first started, my father, he's really hard on me. You know what I mean? He's one of those guys that if we're going to do something, we're going to do it right. We're not going to take no shortcuts and we're going to work hard. So the first year, you know, it was fun, but then the next, you know, the after that, it started becoming really hard for me. He would make me run, he'd make me train, and I would basically train all day. So it was tough for me, but the thing that I loved about boxing wasn't the training, it was the sparring, you know, the contact. We would get in there, we'd spar other kids and stuff, and it always made me feel an adrenaline rush. And, it's always been, like I said, it's the first love of my life. It's boxing for me is everything. I think just from learning how to fight, learning how to defend yourself, it's a violent sport, but it's a very beautiful sport at the same time.
Do you worry about like actual brain damage or any kind of like long-term effects, or is it just not in a boxer's mind while you're going through it?
No, because the type of fighter I am, I really don't get hit that much. My defense is really good, and we still work on the defense every single day. That's the main focus on what we do, because of the brain damage. You know what I mean? I don't want that to be a problem in my life, so we make sure we're on our P's and Q's when we're in the ring. We use a lot of head movement, we use a lot of defense, and I'm not even thinking about brain damage in the future. You know what I mean? I'm a tough guy, and I'm gonna be good by the time I'm done. By the time I'm retired of the sport.
Yeah, what kind of purses are you smacking down every fight?
Well, right now, this fight is going to be, it's $6 million. My last fight was $5 million. The fight before that was $3 million. So I've been professional. I've been professional for 13 years. I turned professional when I was 16 years old. I fought in Mexico. So the first purse, I didn't make any money. You know what I mean? I started really making money when I was 20 years old, when I won the first world title. And when I won my first world title, I became the youngest in history at 168 and super middleweight to ever win it. I won it at 20 years old. The other person to do that is Mike Tyson. He won the heavyweight title at 20 years old. So obviously, you got to put the groundwork in first. But when you get the world titles, that's when the money comes in. The first world title fight was $500,000. The second one was $1 million. And then it just keeps going up and up, and then I think you definitely have to make a case for yourself to become a fan-friendly fighter, a fighter that the fans want to see. And I've definitely made that case, you know what I mean? And now...
Well, that's because you knock everybody out.
Yeah, and the purses keep going up, you know what I mean? But that's also because of the negotiation. I have a great team, you know what I mean? My father, Jose Benavidez, is my trainer, my manager. My lawyer, David Garcia, he goes in there, he takes care of the contracts for me. So I got a great team, man, and I'm really grateful and really happy with the money I've been making lately, you know what I mean? But for me, it's not only about just the money I'm making boxing. I try to diversify that money into other, I got my own businesses. I got my real estates. I got my financial advisors that help me with my investments and stuff. So, everything's been going really good. Thank God.
Thank God. Hey, so if people are listening and they've got kids, 3-4 years old, what would your advice be because there's a lot of people that are never going to make millions of dollars. What would you tell a father that's got a little kid? Because nobody knows if a little kid's going to turn out to be a badass or not. My question, like for your dad, would be, did you know that in other words, could he see that you guys were just extremely talented? How come every kid can't end up a world champion? There's got to be some natural born abilities that you have that maybe thousands of other kids don't have. Because everybody would want to be a world champion. What do you think makes a world champion versus people that never become one?
So what makes a world champion is the individual itself, how much he's willing to push, how much or how big the dream is within himself. It's been my lifelong dream since I was a little kid to become a world champion, and not only to become world champion, be one of the greatest of my generation. Everybody gets motivated by different stuff, but with me, what I would say is I never really cared about the money. I really didn't care about none of that. The only thing I cared about was becoming the best in my sport. I became and there was not no natural given talent. There was not no God-given talent. The talent that I had was going into the gym every single day and working my ass off and making every day and working harder the next day than I did the day before. And, that's really just what it takes. Hard work, dedication, discipline, and having a dream. That's the biggest part, having belief in yourself. The thing about boxing, man, like I said, I've been 28 years old. I've been boxing 26 years. I turned 29 this year, so I've been boxing 26 years. So this shit does not happen overnight. You have to have a vision. You have to let your heart lead you to that vision. Let your heart navigate you to where you want to go, and just stay disciplined, stay working hard. I've been professional now. I've been 13 years professional. I wasn't making any money the first 5 years. So you have to come from a place where you're not just motivated about money, you're motivated about achieving greatness. And for the people that are listening that want to, put their kids in boxing, it's going to be, boxing is probably one of the hardest roads of anything because it's so dangerous and there's so much boxers that are good. So it's really how far you're willing to push yourself to achieve greatness. And that's my message to the kids watching and whoever wants to be a world champion. You have to go in there and push it to the limit every single day.
Now,
I can agree to that because, I seen him when we were kids, and it really just comes back to mindset. He has the mindset, he has the heart, determination. He wasn't around kids. He was always in the gym training hard. And even still to today, when we work together and I work the mitts with him, he still has that mindset from a kid's age, which means that, he's heart driven. He loves this sport, apart from making the money and he makes a living out of it. He loves the sport of boxing. There's a lot of fighters that fight, but they're obviously fighting for the wrong reasons. And that's why they come on a loss. They go on a high and then they come on a loss. He's just rising. And that's what makes the difference.
And also, like how as a businessman, what makes you great is that overtime.
Yeah.
Working when nobody else wants to work. Some people, they work 9 to 5. Me, obviously I don't have a 9 to 5, but I treat my job like a 9 to 5 and I'm always putting in overtime. This morning we worked out for an hour, 30 minutes and we're about to have a great boxing session after this. Yesterday we had a boxing session that lasted about 3 hours and 40 minutes. In the day, in the morning we worked an hour and a half too. So I'm putting 5-6 hours consistently every day. And it's not regular type of work, And this is something my dad can't push me to that. My dad can tell me, go in there, train 3 hours, because it's unheard of. Nobody trains like that. I do it because I know that I want to be the best, the greatest of all time. And, I'm not going to become the greatest of all time working regularly or working like a normal person, like an average person. When I walk away from my training day, I want to look at it and be like, yeah, man, I want to walk away in such pain and such soreness from the training camp to be like, man, I could barely walk, but that was a great day. And that's how I do it every single day.
Do you think if other people that are not world champions would push a little bit harder, that would be the difference between being one and not being one?
Yeah. You have to push every single day because the thing is, if you get 1% better every day in 2 weeks, that's 14%. In a month, you just keep getting better and better. And that's something that you can't really teach somebody. It has to come from the person himself that they're going to want to put that overtime in.
What is a boxer's prime? Like how many more years is a normal boxer's prime?
So the boxer's prime is basically from 27 basically to 33. But that's what categories in the prime back then. I feel like now, it's a little bit different because there's so much, things for recovery, hyperbaric chambers, cryo chambers. There's a whole lot of things that you could do now. You see a lot of fighters, they're fighting, Mayweather, Pacquiao, he's still fighting. He's like 47 years old. So you could prolong the life, the career of a boxer more, but like if we're going to stick it to like the average prime, maybe from 27 to 33.
Now, you guys have known each other for quite some time. How long you guys known each other?
So if I could take you into the backstory, how I met this guy. So when I was, like I said, I've been boxing since I was 3 years old. My parents divorced when I was 7. So I've been basically going back and forth from my mom's to my dad's house. My brother, he was one of the best boxers in Phoenix, Arizona. You know what I mean? And he ended up getting an opportunity to train in Los Angeles, California at the infamous Wildcard Gym where Manny Pacquiao used to train. From this age, I think I was like 10 years old when my father and my brother moved away, and I stopped boxing. I had been boxing my whole life. I stopped boxing for 2 or 3 years. I went from being 80 pounds. I went from being 160 pounds to 260 in like 2 years. You know what I mean? So I remember one day I looked at myself in the mirror and like, man, I don't know who I am. Like my face was like this fat, and I'm like, there's going to be 2 things that happen. Either I'm going to hit a point where there's no return, where I'm going to get so big that I can't lose weight, or I can make the decision to go do what I've always done, go start boxing again and go train in California with my father. I went to Los Angeles, California at the Wild Card Gym, and I met this guy there when he was a kid. When you know, we're I think he was like probably like 15 or something. I was like 12. So we went to the same school. We had went to the same school. Little did I know, you know what I mean, years, like 2 years ago, I found out that this was a guy that he used to be my friend. We used to walk to school and stuff. You know what I mean? So when I was there at the gym, you know, like when I was talking to him, when I came over here to Miami, you know, we started talking. So you used to train here at this year? You went to this school? And then I started looking, I'm like, bro, I think I know you. Like, I think I know you. So
we didn't recognize each other.
So that's, and it's amazing because, you know, I moved over here because, you know, I love Miami. I love the city. And I had heard about the boxer gym. I'm like, oh, okay, this looks like an environment I want to train at. We're both in the boxing world, but he's in the gym making this brand, making this company. And I'm, you know, winning belts, and I'm becoming big in the sport. So it's funny how, you know, we ended up meeting again. You know, I feel like God brings his people around and brings his people together. And, you know, he's a big motivation for me, a real big motivation for me. You know, everything he's doing with this company, you know, how he treats his people. You know, this guy is doing so much, you know, on the business end of the sport. And I think it's something that I needed to see as well, because it lit a fire in me. Because, you know, boxing is one thing, you know, but business is another thing. So everything that he did out, you know, in the business world, you know, really motivated me to get my businesses started, you know, and kind of following his footsteps.
Absolutely. You know, a lot of these boxers, they make a lot of money, but then they don't have a good team around them. They don't have anybody to kind of guide them financially, and they end up freaking broke.
Yeah.
And it sucks.
It sucks because, you know, before I started investing in, you know, my companies and stuff, it sucks when you have a fight check, then you got to pay the taxes. And then until you get a fight, that's only your bank account keeps going down and down and down. And then also because of the, what is the word called with the inflation? If you've been just saving money since 2020, I don't know, I think it was like 20%, or how much is it from 2020 to now? So you're basically losing money, saving money. If you think you're being smart and saving money, it's not smart. You're losing money by the day. So I look at this and I'm like, man, it sucks for me just waiting for my next fight check. Like, if I keep doing this, you know, I'm not going to be able to sustain the type of lifestyle I want to live, or, you know, anything like that. So, you know, it opened my eyes in a different way. You know what I mean? And this is a lot of things that fighters need to hear, because a lot of fighters don't think about this. And the fighters end up going broke, not because they're living the wrong type of life, but because you have to invest your money. You have to basically, it's like a machine. You invest in something, you invest in a business, and it comes back. You know what I mean? So, and like seeing Mateo, you know, like I said, he definitely motivated me. And, you know, now we're on the right track. Now, everything that I'm doing in boxing, you know, I'm buying real estate, you know, I have my companies. I'm looking at this like, this is what I'm going to leave for my next generation, my kids, and even their kids.
Smart, because let me tell you something, dude. Most people will never make the money that you've already made. And believe it or not, you've made enough money already to never work again in your life if you just intelligently invest the money you've already made. You don't have to have one more. You could get away with the rest of your life if you never made one more dollar. So most people will never have the opportunity to make that kind of money, let alone be smart enough to invest it. I mean, it took me a long ass time to figure out how money works. And I always thought, you know, how do I get the chains? How do I get the watches? How do I get the cars? Well, you got to make a lot of money. So I started making a lot of money, and I started getting the chains and the cars and the watches, but I was just broke at another level.
Yeah.
It was just like, I was still broke. I was just broke with a bunch of shit. And if my money stopped, holy shit, dude, now I got to sell those chains and I got to sell those. And now your money goes down. But if you make that money, which, you know, thank God we're able to make that money. And we act like we're not making that money, and we just start putting it away. Everyone's going to be like, dude, where's the chains, man? You're making all this money. How come I can't see it? Well, because that person's the smart one. Because by the time, you know, you get it already. That's good. Cause dude, you're never going to end up, in a bad situation if that's the case. I saw, and again, I mean, like between the two of you, even though I'd love to be a world champion, just to walk around feeling like I'm the baddest man on the planet, I would also probably rather be in Mateo's spot because he's going to get the same payoff, but he don't have to take smacks to the head all day long. Like, dude, you guys don't care about getting smacked in the face. That's my biggest freaking problem is I don't want to get hit. So like, how do you get past the fact that, dude, you're going to get hit?
That's the thing about it. You learn to embrace it. You learn to like it. You know what I mean? That's something it's inevitable. You know what I mean? I would love to go in there and not get hit, but I got to be realistic with myself. So for me, basically I'm not going to take a hit, but I'm not going to take hits on purpose, but there's stuff to counteract, you getting hurt. We do a lot of neck exercises. We strengthen up the neck. We make sure that if we get hit, we're in a position to where we're going to recover fast. And that's the thing about being a warrior, man. In the boxing ring, sometimes that's what turns you up. You know what I mean? And like I said, in boxing, it's not about how hard you can hit. It's how hard you can get hit and come back.
Yeah, they say everyone has either a fight or flight response. It's built in. Do you believe that that's true?
Yeah, definitely, because also this strictly comes down to the individual as well. You don't know how much times I've looked at myself in the mirror and said, I'm not scared of nobody. I don't give a fuck. If somebody hits me, I'm gonna come back even harder. I've told myself a lot that over my professional career, and it helps me. Honestly, it helps me because not only I'm programming myself mentally that if something happens, I get clipped, I'm going to come back. You know what I mean? And my last fight, it was the first time, I'm not going to say I was hurt, but I got clipped with the shot because I made a mistake. And if you could go back and see that fight, you'll see in the fourth round, I get clipped. But what I do, the fight or flight, I came back and I hurt the guy then the next 5 seconds. So it's stuff like that. And honestly, if like me, man, I'm not scared of nobody. You know what I mean? I've been hit really hard, but that, I enjoy it. I have to tell myself I enjoy it because if I'm scared to get hit, then that's going to make the fight. It's going to make me fight in a way where I'm scared and I'm not really, you know what I mean? I'm not really putting the best of myself. So as for that, you're going to get hit. You're going to get hit. It's just how you respond when you get hit.
There's a lot of relatability between boxing and life and business. Like if it wasn't for boxing, I wouldn't be where I am today just because of the core values it teaches you. It teaches you discipline. It teaches you to, like he said, embrace the hits, just like in business, take hits all the time, but it's how you come back from it. It's how you actually go deep within you and figure out how to control those stress levels. And you know what? I'm going to come back even stronger to make sure that shit doesn't happen again. It's the same thing in boxing, business, and life. And there's a lot of relatability that people don't realize that boxing actually helps you in so many different aspects, not just from the physical side, but from the mental aspect. It just opens up a different pathway in your brain where it's like, oh, damn, I didn't know it felt like that, or I didn't know I could do it like that. And that's the same thing when in business, we take those risks and we're like, we don't know what's behind that door until we actually open it and take a leap of faith. It's the same thing, so.
Yeah. I mean, in the business, ring, if you will, I have the same, listen, I'm not afraid to lose. I'm going after it. If I get knocked down, I'm getting back up. I've done it a million times. That's why I've succeeded in business. But when it comes to fighting, for some reason, I just anticipate someone throwing a right cross and smashing my nose. And now I'm walking around with a bent nose and dude, I just think, man, that's just not worth it. So I've always kind of avoided fights. Obviously everyone's going to get in some, whether you avoid them or not. And every one that I've ever gotten in, I've won, thankfully, because they had me so freaking scared that, dude, my adrenaline, literally, I'd just start swinging and I wouldn't stop swinging until someone stopped me from swinging. And fortunately I won. But nowadays, dude, everybody's MMA, everybody's a boxer, everybody's trained to fight. So now it's not the same. Plus I'm 56. So it's like my fight days are over. But I always imagined, like when I was younger, what is it that makes me so afraid to fight? Is that a self-preservation instinct? Because again, if I take my 3-year-old, if they got the fight or flight in them, and I take my 3-year-old and I say, okay, punch. And as soon as this kid punches my kid in the face and he falls down, he doesn't want to get punched anymore. Is it impossible to get your kid to fight? Or do you think someone with the flight mentality can turn that around and turn it into a fight mentality?
So the thing is about you being scared is a good thing. I was scared. So when I was I'm not going to say I'm scared now, but that's something that protects you, because when you're scared, you make the best decision. You tell yourself in your head, I cannot make a mistake. So, that's really what it is. If people are scared, that doesn't mean that, they can't fight or they can't do nothing. Like you said yourself, you kept swinging because you were scared. You know what I mean? So that's scared. That's like a built-in mechanism to make sure that, you're protected.
Like Mike Tyson.
Yeah.
Same thing.
Yeah. You have to fight like that. That's really what makes the great fighters great, because it's not that they're scared, but they know that they cannot make a mistake. And you having that in your head, knowing that if I make a mistake, this can happen, this could happen. You're gonna be so sharp in your head, and you're gonna make the best decisions.
But you have to have a little bit of skill in the first place, don't you?
Well, that's why you got to train every single day. You know what I mean?
You get some guys, like obviously not trained fighters, but you get like some guys, you watch a fight in the bar and, some guy looks backwards and starts, throwing punches like a chick. It's like, dude, like you got to have some skill, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's different. You know what I mean? That's why you gotta train, you gotta practice. And the thing about it is that
hard work beats talent.
you have, if I'm saying for somebody that fights in the bar, you have to know that eventually you're going to run into this. So how do I counteract that? I prepare myself for when this time comes. I'm ready for whatever comes my way.
It's like this. A very good friend of mine told me he works for the feds, and we sat down, we spoke one day, and it's having filing cabinets, right? Once you start going and you practice something that you've never learned before, it's a filing cabinet that gets stored for a certain time frame in your life that it may come. It may not come, but it may come. And if you stick to adding to that filing cabinet that you're learning this new craft or this new skill set, it doesn't matter if you don't have talent or not. Hard work will always beat talent. If you stay consistent with it, eventually that file that you put in the filing cabinet will eventually come out. Just like if something happens at a bar and you're trying to protect your woman or whoever it is, you learn that skill set over a period of time where that file, you're going to pull it out. You're going to use it to your fullest advantage. Now, if you never had that file, what are you going to do?
Get your ass kicked.
Exactly. So,
which is why I recommend, and let me see if you guys agree. I recommend if you're a man, like an actual man, you should be getting the basics of fighting, period. Like everybody in Miami should be at the boxer facility. Even if you don't plan to be a fighter, just to freaking get the basics.
100%.
I mean, dude, listen, not only is it killer conditioning, dude, we were leaving this boxing event one time and me and my buddy, we're about the same size. We're walking out and there was this little baby ring and they'd give you gloves and you could fight each other. And so, he's like, put the gloves on, bitch. I'm like, let's go. So I put the gloves on. He puts the gloves on. Within 15 seconds of literally swinging like a bunch of dumbasses, dude, I was winded. He was more winded than I was. But like, I thought to myself, how do you guys fight 12 rounds, 3 minutes each when 15 seconds, dude? I was winded so badly that if that was a real fight, dude, I could have been seriously hurt because I could freaking barely breathe. Is that why you guys are always running and doing cardio?
Yeah, 100%. Boxing, like you said, people don't realize how hard it is until you actually start swinging. For you to be able to defend yourself, you have to get some cardio in. You have to practice a little bit. And also, the thing that people don't realize is when you train boxing, you feel really good after. Sometimes some people are a little depressed or they feel a certain type of way. You get a boxing training session, and after you feel amazing. And not only do you feel amazing, you have learned how to defend yourself. You got a good workout in, and yeah, it really does wonders for the body.
What do you guys think about like the building of confidence? Because I'm a firm believer, you know, you're not going to succeed in business, life, or boxing without confidence. And I think doing the work, like going into the boxer facility and just, you know, getting the work in, I think it will eventually like build your confidence in life, don't you think?
Yeah, definitely. Confidence is the building blocks to make you successful in anything. Because after, you know, you build that confidence, you could roll over, you could go into a business, even for some, you know, young kids, they could go talk to women, you know what I mean? Whatever it is, you need that confidence in yourself to be the best version of yourself. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Not only to be the best version of yourself, but to make the best decisions as well.
Yeah, and you got to be around like-minded individuals too. It's very important, especially guys that are maybe even better than you. You got to surround yourself in that environment space to be able to help you build the confidence that you need and be challenged. You know, being challenged is very, very important. You can hit a bag all day, but if you're not actually putting yourself in the position to actually practice what you learn in the ring on some light sparring or some sort of sparring, then you're not really getting the full effect. You're not giving yourself the opportunity to go, all right, well, I just stepped into the ring, because stepping into the ring is something that you gotta go deep within yourself and go, all right, well, I got the balls to jump in the ring and do this, right? So it's like most of it, what they say is 90% of it's all mental before anything. That's the key.
Have David, have you ever got your bell rung where you're like, what the fuck just hit me?
Yeah. Yeah, there's been a lot of times like I said, it's inevitable because I've been boxing my whole life and I've been in there with some of the best world champions since I was 14 years old. So there's been times where I get hit and it's like when you turn on the TV and it's just black and white, like your whole freaking body vibrates and stuff. And it's not a good feeling. Trust me, it's not a good feeling. But sometimes when you get hit and you stay up, that makes you strong. Be like, okay, I already got hit with a good shot. I could take another one. Not saying I'm going to, but now I know that my chin is good.
Yeah. And Mateo, at some point you decided to not box anymore, not fight anymore. What was the pivotal moment for you where you said, dude, this apparently ain't working out, and you pivoted to business?
So when I was boxing, I started at 13 years old. Just to give you a little background, my father comes from the import and export business. He became very successful after the 2000 Olympic Games in Australia. He actually had a major contract with the Olympic Games to create the mascots and everything for the Olympics. Had a big deal with Kmart, because we have Kmart back in Australia.
Still?
Sorry?
Are they still there?
I'm not even sure. I haven't been back in a long time. It's been a minute now since I've been back home, but you know, he comes from the entrepreneurial business background. And then my mother comes from the background of sports, where my grandma, she was on the PGA Tour for golf, and my grandfather was also a football player for the All Blacks back in New Zealand.
Oh, right on. Can you do the thing they do? Yeah.
Oh man, nah. I'll do it for you when I meet you in person.
No, I don't mean now, but I mean, do you know how to do it?
I know a little bit. It's been a minute now. You know, I grew up on it. So we grew up on rugby. So it's just, you know what, like coming from a background like that, I really appreciate my parents, because as an only child, I had to figure out things myself. And I learned from two sides exactly on what they had to do in order to get to the stages that they got to. Right. So then I found boxing at such a young age, where my father was like, listen, you're going into this, you're going to learn discipline, you're going to learn all these values. It's going to prepare you. So I was like, all right. So he threw me into the PAL program. I don't know if you know the Police Athletic League. It's around the country. So he threw me into the PAL program. I started boxing at a young age. I found something where I loved it. I didn't have friends. I found boxing to be my best friend. And I excelled at it at a very young age in Australia, became 4-time national champion, went to the World Championships, met this guy at Wild Card. And I had a very good amateur background. When I hit 18, 19, I saw a lot of my friends making money. And I started to feel a little bit like, man, my dad makes money. He doesn't give me money. He just wants me to become a world champion. I see all my friends making money. And here I am jumping in the ring. And I got to keep doing this. When is my opportunity going to come, you know? And days that, you know, guys would be hanging out and he would tell you, it's in the gym, you know, like you're training twice, 3 times a day. You're getting pushed by your father because your father wants you to see you succeed and become a world champion. But for me, it became something like, I don't feel the growth. I don't feel the change. I feel like I'm just sparring and training every day for what? So I went back to Australia after I was in LA, and I joined a group of guys where I saw them making fast money. And I saw the money come in. I was like, damn, this shit looks good. You know, like I could get used to this shit. So I fell off the boxing side of things. And I saw the money. So I was like, okay, I like this. But then I realized, I'm like, nah, this ain't gonna turn out well for me. So I ended up thinking to myself, well, you know what? Let me get back on the wagon of boxing, right? My father always told me, just stick to it, stick to it, stick to it. I don't get along with him great, but I put my hat off to him because he did teach me a lot of stuff that today I wouldn't be in the position I am in. So came to Miami, got onto the boxing side, where I started from being a fighter, where I was a fighter, to being on the streets, to then going, all right, well, let's go back to what I was really good at, which is I love the sport of boxing, but I'm gonna flip the script now. I'm gonna teach it rather than do it. And so when I found that in COVID, everything changed for me.
How was it during COVID? Were you in Australia or here?
I was stuck here.
Well, you damn lucky you were stuck here instead of stuck there. From what I hear, that place was a nightmare.
You don't want to go to Australia. Don't get me wrong. It's a beautiful country, but the way everything's set up over there, I wouldn't be able to do what I did now if I was there, for sure. And so through COVID, I had my condo. I had $10,000 in cash. That's all I had. And I turned my condo into a boxing facility. It was an apartment, 2 levels. I put a boxing ring. I spent every cent into setting up a private boxing gym through COVID. And I was training people in the apartment and in the parking lots. And I didn't even know if I could teach or not because I'd never done it. But I took all the years of experience from boxing, from all the best coaches around and from all the best fighters that I worked with. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to teach people because people need this at this time. We've been separated through COVID. I'm going to get their hype up. I'm going to make them feel good. I'm going to give them something that they need, which is the mental and the physical aspect. So I started training people and I found that I'm actually good at it. I'm like, damn, I teach it better than I actually fight it. And so that blew up very, very quick. And the funny thing is the people that I did train, I attracted very high level individuals, which means that it wasn't just your average Joe, but it was people that were like, damn, these people are very important key figures in their industries. And they came to me. Why is that? I must be doing something correct. But with those key people that I had, and some of them I'll drop some of those names. You know, are you a football fan?
Sure.
Deebo Samuel from the 49ers. Mm-hmm. One of my first clients. Steve Stow, owner of United Masters. Some big names. And they taught me a lot, you know. So as I was working with them, the relationship that went from a coach to a client went from just a friendship relationship to a business relationship. And to now, you know, we talk, we do business, we have great conversations, and it's just wild, you know, for how it happened, you know.
Hey, if somebody would have come across you guys when you're 15 years old, now, was that when you was a little bit chubby, David?
Yeah.
How old were you?
Actually, when I was 15, I was already starting to lose weight, but from 13 to 14 and a half. At 15, I was already maybe like 190 pounds.
Okay, so let's say I run into you guys when you're a little chunky, and obviously, Mateo, I don't know what you were doing at that time. You guys knew each other though?
Yeah. I was boxing.
What if I'd have ran into you guys and I would have said, hey, I'm from the future, and I'm just here to tell you, you're going to be a multi-millionaire business mogul in the boxing space, and you're actually going to be a world champion.
You go first.
Would you guys have believed me at that moment?
Hell yeah, I would have said, yo, that's right.
So you were focused on that every second.
So the thing is that I was focused on that, but I was not going to take anything else. I had made up my mind already. I dropped out of school, 9th grade. I went back, then I dropped off 10th grade again. And I'm like, man, my dad had told me, like, I'm going to take you out of school because you're getting bad grades and this. I'm like, in my head, I said, I don't, there's nothing else I want to do. I don't have no plan. I don't have a plan B. My plan A has been boxing the whole time. So I'm not going to take no from an answer. You know, I'm going to put everything into the shit. You know, I'm going to work my ass off, and this is the only way it's going to happen. And, you know, that's what I was talking about earlier about that belief. You have to have that belief in yourself. I put it all on the line for me and myself, and I have to, you know, give credit for what credit's due. Without my father, none of this would be possible. My father's the one pushed me to the limit every single day. And my dad, he sacrificed his marriage, his jobs. He said, I'm going to get some side hustles. I'm going to make some money. I'm going to support you guys all the way, and we're going to make this happen. And, you know, like I said, I'm very grateful for my dad. He pushed me to the limit, and I told my dad I was going to be a world champion, and I kept that promise to him.
But there's just so many stories like this that are not going to end like yours. Like, that's what I'm trying to figure out is like, what was the difference? Because like, look at Mateo. He had the same dream, didn't make it, but guess what? Turned out all right. So people listening, pay attention. Number one, you know, it is possible because again, you know, you stay focused. In my opinion, guys, you don't start and you don't quit. So if you don't start, you're never going to make it. And if you don't quit, you'll always make it. But some people are going to sit back and say, not true, Brad. David is a freaking I don't even know what the odds are, but like, you can want it all you want and you can put in all the work and you still don't make it. Like, what's the differentiator? Why you as opposed to other people?
I would say the big difference I have was my support system. My dad didn't let me quit. You know, there's a lot of times I wanted to quit, and I'm not going to lie to you, and because it was too hard for me. I'm me as a kid, you know what I mean? It was always my dream to be a world champion, but sometimes you know how it is. It gets hard. Like Mateo said, he wasn't making money. I wasn't making money either. You know, I've seen people that had money. I've seen people making money. But my dad, he's like, you know, his message was, we've come too far to quit. Yeah. And like I said, my dad was the difference maker. My dad didn't let me quit. My dad, it didn't matter how much money he had to get outside or what he had to do. He made sure that the bills were paid. You know, the finances were good, that all we had to do was train. And that my dad, like I said, I give a lot of credit to my dad because without him, none of this is possible.
I guess the key point to this is too, like, you know, if you stick to something, right? It's about sticking to something, and then eventually you're gonna find your purpose. You know, in my case, it was different because I felt like that I had to impress people that were in my corner, and I had to facilitate at a certain level to go, all right, well, look, I'm doing it, but I wasn't doing it for me in the end. You know what I mean? Sometimes you do things just to please others. For my sake, it was different. For him, he's pleasing himself first, and then he's pleasing his dad and everybody else because this is what he's chosen to do. This is what he loves. But you don't come off track. You stay on track because you never know what's going to happen in the end. Even if you do fall off a little bit, it doesn't matter because you're going to end up finding another path that's going to keep you still in the same direction that you're supposed to be going.
Yeah.
I didn't plan for the gym. I didn't plan to be a coach. I didn't even plan to be in the position I am in today to have nearly 4,500 members in 2 years or 3 years out of 4 locations that I built out. I didn't expect any of that. I didn't even have business experience. I never went to business school or anything. This is all self-taught in the last 5 years. So, but what I did do is I did go back to what I knew I was good at, which was I learned all the boxing skills. I took the discipline, all the different values and attributes, and I applied it and I woke up from it and went, cut the bullshit out. Let's do this way. Let's stop doing all this stuff that's not working for us. And let's see what happens. There is a light at the end of the tunnel. I don't know what it could be, but I am going to work hard at it. And if it fails, then so be it. If it doesn't, then at least I tried. And I know that some way, somehow, God's got my back. And I do believe in myself and my abilities. I just got to open up a chapter that I've never opened before. And that's it.
You guys married?
Yeah.
You're both married?
No, I have a woman, a girlfriend.
Yeah, because I mean, the good thing that you're faith-based, because like you guys are a couple good-looking dudes making tons of freaking money. If you guys were single, that could be another little temptation that could take you off track. What do you think about like guys that are running around single, trying to get all the ladies and chasing the tail? What's your advice to them?
So, like I said first, there's a lot of temptations in the life, but you have to put the dream first before anything.
Yeah.
I know a lot of fighters that put before, their career, they get knocked out, their career goes to shit. Them having so much women fucks up their life. So, like I said, I've never been the type of person to put, anything before my career. I've been with my wife for 7 years. We have 3 kids now. She's a good woman. She helps me with everything. She puts me in a position where I don't have to do nothing but just train. She takes care of the kids. So I have a good woman by my side. And like I said, people, they get what they're looking for. You know what I mean? Some people, they don't want a good woman. Some people, they will just want to be with multiple women. They want to do this. They want to party. They want to do that. But that shit don't get you nowhere. If that shit actually pulls you farther away from your dream. And at the end of the day, you got to be real with yourself. You got to look at your career, whatever you're doing, you got to look at the progress you've made. And if you haven't made any progress, you have to be real with yourself. And you have to, get yourself back on track. And if you don't, then you see what happens. People lose their careers. People fuck up. They waste all their money, this and that. So, you know what I mean? Like I said, this is strictly for the individual. You have to be real with yourself. You have to look at yourself in the mirror and say, hey, if you're not getting better, say, hey, I'm fucking slacking. I got to pick up the work and I got to pick up the pace. Some people, they're not true with themselves. And those are the type of qualities you have to have as a man to be successful in this life.
Yeah, and people don't realize how to eliminate distractions because they don't see them as distractions. They're codependency.
But also, there's a lot of people that like to put the blame on other people and not on themselves. So that's what I'm saying. You as a man, you have to look at the mirror, be real with yourself.
Yeah, you gotta take full accountability for yourself. No one else is gonna, do it for you or pick up the slack. You gotta look at yourself all the time and go, all right, let's look at the pros and cons. Because if you focus a lot on the cons and you can turn them into pros, then that's how you're actually adjusting and fixing your life. Everyone wants to look at the pros and the goods. And then, most men these days, they're trying to get the pretty women, especially here in Miami. They're trying to get the women, they're trying to go out, they're trying to spend bread, they're trying to flex on the cars and this and that. But that shit don't last forever. You know what I mean? It's a matter of putting yourself first, getting your value system aligned, and making sure that you're getting yourself ahead so you could set yourself up for the future. That's what a lot of these guys are forgetting, is preparing themselves,
Yeah.
And also another thing is too, like how Mateo said, boxing is a representation of life. Like I said, if you don't take your shit serious, you have to look at yourself in the mirror. Also, another thing I learned about boxing is sometimes people get knocked out and they try to put the blame on other people.
Yeah.
I'm like, bro, you get knocked out because of the fucking shit that you did. You can't blame nobody else. At the end of the day, you have this much time to prepare. When you get in the ring, it's you by yourself. It's just you by yourself. So as much, all that shit that you've been doing, all that fucking around and not taking shit serious is going to show in the ring. And just like how it is in business, if you fuck around in your business, you're not taking shit serious, you're sleeping with women, going to clubs, you're not focused on the business, your business is going to go to shit.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
So it's just, there's a lot of, it's like a lot of similarities between boxing, life, and business.
And just time. Time is precious, People are wasting time. You gotta maximize your time frame on you living on this planet, because people are dying every day. So you need to take advantage of your time and time manage everything accordingly, because the years are going like this.
Time management's crucial. But David, let me push back a little bit on what you said, because you said that you've never taken your eyes off the prize. But number one, when you got fat, that was kind of taking your eyes off the prize. Number two, you got your title stripped in 2018, I think, by doing a little bit of cocaine. Didn't you?
Yeah. So
well, that's taking your eyes off the prize, dude. There ain't a boxer that's focused like you said you were that would do a line of coke.
Yeah. So when I was younger, I'm still just trying to find who I am, that's why I gained the weight. I've always had a big appetite, eating a lot. I got that fixed. The thing I'm going to tell people, if there's kids watching the show or young men in college, if you start your life with bad habits, that shit is going to haunt you to the rest of your life. If you don't get that shit under control. When I was younger, I had my eye off the prize too. I was drinking, me and my parents were, like I said, separated since 7. I had a lot of sadness or sorrow from that. You know, I was never able to see my parents in the same household. Started drinking, you know, and I'm not gonna lie, I got into cocaine fairly young age, 17 years old.
How did you get into it? Was it a buddy? Someone said, hey,
So I'm from Phoenix, Arizona. You know what I mean? It feels like everybody in Phoenix, Arizona does that stuff. And, you know, it's like a party town. So also I had been through a lot of stuff. You know, before I fought my first world title fight, my brother got shot. He almost died. 3 weeks before my fight, my uncle got killed. You know, I love my uncle. You know, I haven't got over that yet. So me, I had a lot of time to think of stuff, you know, because I've, you know, got my life in order. I'm thinking, why did this happen? This happened. My life went into the downward spiral because I was dealing with this pain in a way that I would do coke and I'd forget about it. I'd drink and I'd forget about my uncle. I'd forget about my brother. I'd forget about all this shit. You know what I mean? And then boxers, we only have a little bit of time to, you know, to relax. It's a fight, a month off, then back to the gym, back to the gym, back to the gym. So that's all I knew. This time, you know what I mean? I had a rough life, you know, I'm going through all this shit, you know, so I'm doing coke and it you know, it made my life go into a downward spiral, you know what I mean? And I wouldn't have stopped until I got caught, you know what I mean? And also when this type of stuff happens, you know, I had to hit rock bottom, you know what I mean? In my life, you know, I'm fighting with people, I'm getting drunk, you know, I'm fighting with my family members. I'm not getting along with this person, not getting along with this person. And I felt like I had hit I had rock bottom in my life. You know, this is really where God came into my life because I was tired of waking up fucking hungover. I'm tired of staying up on days with coke, and you know, I'm tired of doing this. I'm just tired of feeling like shit. So for you to really find that light within yourself, you have to hit rock bottom, and that's exactly what happened to me. And honestly, that's the best thing that could happen to me because now I have a prayer life that's so strong that I know nothing can mess with me. You know, I know God has my back. I pray for all my people. You know what I mean? And I feel really good. I feel really protected. And not only do I feel protected, when you have the word of God into your heart, you start making better decisions. You know what I mean? And that's how I live life today. You know what I mean? I pray every single day. You know, I pray for myself. I pray for my family. And like I said, I hit rock bottom, but there's one good thing that comes when you hit rock bottom, that there's only one way and it's up. And then I'm very happy and I'm very grateful. You know, I live my life different now, way different. I'm not the person I was back then. And like I said, I have no problem talking with this stuff because there might be people going through the same shit I went through.
there's 100% somebody listening to this right now that did lines last night, or maybe they're doing one right now. And I always try to tell people, because I mean, I did it. I think, dude, I'm from an era where, like, you know, if you didn't do that, dude, you're a square. So like everybody I knew did coke, they did meth, they did acid, they did mushrooms. It was experimental when you were growing up, you know. And now I tell people, you know, well, sure I did. Didn't everybody? Like, to me, it was like, well, that's freaking normal. If you didn't do that, you're like weird. But I also say, I've never seen anybody ever in my whole entire life that would do that and come out the other side better off. I've always seen a crash. I don't care if they're world champion boxers. If you'd have kept doing it, you would not be where you are today. I've never seen it lead anywhere good. So again, it doesn't mean anything if people are out there doing it. What means something is if they keep doing it. So like, make this your wake up call, folks. You're never going to be a world champion. You're never going to be a freaking successful, you know, entrepreneur. You're never going to be a good dad. You're never going to be a good husband if you're doing freaking coke, if you're an alcoholic, if you're getting drunk on a regular basis.
And
now,
what I'd like to add to that too, sometimes some people feel like they're just caught up in the same cycle. You know, it's a vicious cycle, man. That shit leads to nothing but depression. Your thoughts are all clouded. You know, if you do enough coke, you start to see weird shit. You know what I mean? And that fucks with your head.
Did you do enough to see weird shit?
No, I'm just saying, you start thinking weird stuff. You know
I know, but I'm like, how do you know that, dude? You must have been doing some rail.
No, yeah,
that usually happens on like the second night.
Old, man. But that's what I'm saying. Like, the people who know, they know. And you're not going to be the best version of yourself.
Yeah.
You're not. Just like how
Can't be.
Shit does not end up good. It does not end up good. And for the people I want to tell that are in the same cycle, start today. Tell yourself, no, I'm done with this shit. It might not happen that day, but the next time, if you do it again, you know, you gotta keep telling yourself until you stop doing that shit. Because, bro, that's like you said, it's not going to lead nowhere. It's not going to lead nowhere, and you're going to be damaging yourself more. Not only are you damage yourself, you're going to damage the relationships what you have with everybody.
Sometimes those are going to be impossible to fix. Even though you fix yourself, you're going to screw shit up where you can't fix those.
Exactly.
It's a dead end. I don't care if you just do it lightly when you go out sometimes, you know, that your certain friends show up. So you enjoy a couple times a month. It's no big deal. It is a big deal, first of all. And second of all, it's the people that are thinking right now in their heads as we're talking about this. It's the people going, yeah, but you guys, they don't understand. Like, I lost my mom, or, you know, that's the victim mentality. And that's what you said, that's why you were doing it. You were trying to drown out reality rather than face it. And in reality, I understand it because, again, I did it too. What I should have done, and you just said what you should have done, was just dealt with it differently. So, folks, if you're listening and you do have any kind of a drug issue at all, trust me, even experimental light is not a good thing. If I were you, I would just go stop trying to run from the way you're feeling and just face it, because that's what strengthens you into the person you need to become to get where you need to go.
Yeah. And also another thing that helps is prayer and meditation.
Yeah.
Meditation, sometimes your head gets clouded with so much different thoughts. Meditation, when you close your eyes, it will help you drown all that out. It'll help you find yourself again. So if anybody listening, you know, if you wanted to look for an alternative way, meditation and prayer. And I guarantee you that would definitely change your life.
Another thing is, just to add to that, is like, since I've had the business, it's saved a lot of people's lives. You know, coming into a space, into a gym, it's brought a lot of peace among a lot of people, because they deal with so many things on a daily basis. Some of the things that all these members deal with is just crazy from the stories I've heard. And they've gone, hey, Mateo, boxer saved my life. Boxing, doing MMA, being in this environment space amongst good, like-minded people, you know, finding a place to get them away from being in that lonely place, you know. That's what I've figured out. So if you're listening to this, find a really good gym that's in your city or your town and put yourself into something that is uncomfortable, because you're used to the comforts of repeating the same things over and over again. By taking a leap of faith and chance to going, all right, well, I'm going to try this. You know, that might actually change your life. That could be your peace. You know, I still train to today, and I need to jump in the ring, and I need to train just because it gives me peace. That's my therapy right there. If I don't do it, I go on a crash. So everyone's got that, you know.
Hey, is your goal by chance to have a boxer everywhere? Because there's people listening. Like, it surprises me how many actual successful mogul types are listening. If there's somebody that says, man, I'd love to put a boxer here in Las Vegas or wherever they are, Dallas, Texas, you know, are you open to like licensing or franchising? Or
that's already in the blueprint right now. So I've had multiple offers come from so many different cities and countries, which has been amazing, all the way across to like Saudi Arabia right now. So it just comes down to, obviously, you know, the right people, the right strategic moves that need to be played on the board. But yeah, that's the ultimate goal. The ultimate goal is to change as many people's lives and take over the fitness industry.
Yeah, well, it's crazy that it's called boxer, but you got MMA, you got all kinds of. It's basically wellness, fitness.
Yeah. So boxer, the actual name was actually my fight name. So I took that from Australia. They used to call me boxer. Yeah, they used to call me boxer back in school, but we cut the E off a lot of the words from our accent. So I cut the E off and called it BOXR. And then from that, turned it into a huge brand.
Well, as I'm imagining it, because I've never been there, I'm thinking, damn, dude, I wish there was one here, because I'd go enroll tomorrow just to get the conditioning. I don't want to be a fighter, obviously, but like get the conditioning and then the basic fundamentals. Because I've asked MMA buddies of mine, and one of the Gracie brothers was on the show, I think Daniel, and I said, like, if I just wanted to learn basic protection to where if someone's doing something stupid with my wife at a bar, like, what would you learn? Every one of them said boxing. Like apparently that's the one where you want to learn that one no matter what. And then the second one was jujitsu. and it's like boxing and jujitsu. So I'm like, okay, well, maybe I'll start a little jujitsu, rolling just the basics, and then go start boxing. I just need to. I mean, I started to roll a little bit, which I started, but you know, I need to go start boxing. But I don't know which facility here is the best one. But Boxer sounds badass, dude.
You're gonna have to fly in.
Well, I will be coming to Miami. I'll pop in there for a minute as long as you got headgear and nobody trained to knock my head off.
We got you. Me and David got you.
Hey, so David, you're called the Mexican Monster.
Yes.
Mike Tyson gave you that name. Before that, you were El Bandera Roja, which is the red flag.
Yeah.
Like, did you just say, like, first of all, who gives the boxer their names?
So I had signed with the promoter when I was 18 years old, Samson Lukowitz. He's still my promoter right now. And, you know, for them, you know, like for promotional wise and stuff, he thought it'd be a good idea to give me that name. He's, you know, promoters, they always want you to have a nickname. I rolled with it, you know, I like the name, but, you know, it's not a name that I wanted to stick with. And one day I was doing a podcast with Mike Tyson. He's like, man, you're the Mexican Monster. I'm like, oh, that shit sounds nice. So it just stuck, you know what I mean? It stuck to me. And, you know, the people, you know, they responded to that name really well. And
that's a better name. The red flag, I don't get.
Because everybody that they've seen me, that name came to me because every time people see me in the ring, they're like, man, you're a monster. You're a monster. And then sure enough, one of the greatest fighters of all time says, man, you're the Mexican Monster. I'm like, oh, well, shit, that's the cue right there. That's the name we're going to call ourselves.
Yeah. Who gave you the red flag?
My promoter, Samson Lukowitz.
Is he offended?
The red flag was like, basically, he would always want me to come in with like red flags and basically saying it's a sign of danger. The danger, the red flag is coming. He's dangerous.
Ah. Is he offended that you dropped it for the Mexican Monster?
I mean, I don't know. I really don't care because it's my career. You know what I mean? I ran with it for like almost 10 years, 7 years. So I mean, the name did what it was supposed to do. And like at the end of the day, this is my career. So I mean,
not only that, dude, Mike Tyson gave it to you. That alone is worth taking.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you guys, who do you think boxing wise is the greatest of all time? Because you always hear Muhammad Ali, who again was, definitely awesome. Loved Muhammad Ali. Luckily, I'm old enough to remember watching that dude fight. But I'm also right in my prime was Mike Tyson, dude. And Mike Tyson, in my opinion, will always be, unless I see someone else come up, the best of all freaking time. What do you think?
To be honest with you, I don't think there's a collection of fighters. It can't just be one fighter. It's like
who would you say is the best of all time right now?
I don't got one name.
Yeah, me too.
The top of my list is Manny Pacquiao, only because what he has done is unheard of. 8 division world champion, started from 108 all the way up to 154.
Manny Pacquiao is definitely a beast. What about, wouldn't you have to say Mayweather? Even though he's not as exciting, he's never lost.
I'll put him in my list.
To be honest, that's what I'm saying. I can't, it's a collection of fighters. Yeah. But what I would like to say is, remember Manny Pacquiao in his prime?
Yes.
Watching Manny Pacquiao, he'd fucking take a dude, take a dude apart, and you'd be like, man, this guy's amazing. This guy, fucking everybody's going crazy at the carne asada. Everybody's watching the fight. That is what I liked. I like that Manny Pacquiao, he didn't run from nobody. He went in to do the fucking job and took everybody out. Yeah. He took everybody's head off. And that's why, just like how Mike Tyson was in his prime. Like, man, this dude is not coming to play around. He's coming to finish the job. But
that was the biggest complaint with Mike Tyson, dude. You'd pay all this money for a fight and it'd be over in 8 seconds.
I guess it comes with, like, the way I sort of see it from the boxing side and the business standpoint is the overall package that each fighter had, right? So it's more like who were the superstars, the real superstars, from boxing to marketing, right? You put Pacquiao for sure. You put you got to put Mayweather in that list. He's one of them. You got to put Roy Jones Jr. He's one of them.
You also got to put Sugar Ray
Leonard.
Roberto.
What about the Triple G guy?
Triple G. Yeah.
He worked with Triple G.
I used to spar Triple G when I was 15 years old.
Who was the dude that came around and then he disappeared, but he would always backflip? Was he called Prince or something?
Prince Nassim. Yeah, he was one of my favorites too.
What happened to him?
he got beat, and then
Pereira.
I think that just really discouraged him for the career. But he
Now,
was
November,
the thing about Prince was he was a showman, but he would go in and he'd
smack.
throw down every time.
Yeah.
now, November 22nd, you're in Saudi Arabia fighting. You got what's his name? Anthony who?
Anthony Yarde.
You got Anthony Yarde. Now, what's his record? Like, you got any worries at all? Obviously, you probably don't, but like, should you?
To be honest with you, I don't overlook any opponent. The reason I've been so successful is that every time I fight an opponent, I feel like that's going to be the best. He's going to be the best version of himself, whoever it is. So that allows me to prepare for the best fighter. And I take my job extremely serious. I've been training right now for like 3 months. I still got.
What's he ranked?
He's ranked like number 4 or number 3. So the thing is that I was supposed to fight Dimitri Bivol. He has all the belts, but he had surgery, or he was supposed to do a rematch with somebody. So they're out of the picture. So I'm fighting this guy, Anthony Yarde. Anthony Yarde, he's a great veteran. He has a lot of experience. He's fought Artur Beterbiev, which is, one of the champions, or one of the top light heavyweights. So, this dude is definitely a live dog. He has a lot of fight in him. But this is my first fight with a different promotion company. This is my first fight with Riyadh season. So we're gonna go to Saudi Arabia in Riyadh, and first fight. So it's basically my introduction to the promotion company. But also the card is going to be stacked too. They got Devin Haney versus Brian Norman Jr. They got Abdullah Mason. They got Bam Bam Rodriguez. It's 4 world championship fights. So this is definitely going to be a card that that you guys are not going to want to miss. It's going to be an amazing card. November 22nd. Nothing but championship fights on there. It's going to be really good.
Pay-per-view, folks. If you guys don't want to fly to Saudi Arabia.
No, it's not pay-per-view. I think
what is it?
It's on. It's free on DAZN.
It's free on DAZN.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah.
Well, then everyone's going to tune in. Lately you can't really talk about boxing without talking about I think one of the best marketers in boxing so far, which is Mr. Jake Paul.
Yeah.
Like, dude, people can talk shit all they want about he ain't a real boxer. Dude, he looks like a real ass boxer to me. And not only that, he can sell out arenas not being a real boxer. So that makes him definitely a world champion marketer.
So what I tell people about Jake Paul is, bro, don't hate on him. The thing about Jake Paul is, look at how much people's bringing into the sport. Look at everywhere he goes, he's filling up the arenas.
Yeah.
That's marketing.
This guy has, what is it, like 10 fights, 5 fights?
Like 10.
And he's already making $40 million. So instead of being a hater, let's look at him. Let's learn from what we can learn. He's a great marketer. He does his job in and outside the ring, and he deserves everything he gets, because he didn't get that shit for free. He's worked for everything he's had.
You got to respect it, because somebody like that just comes out of nowhere 5 years ago and starts making headlines like this and starts fighting against some of the biggest names in the sport and filling up stadiums. The guy understands business, but he's in control. You know what I mean? He doesn't have a promoter. He is the promoter. That's the difference. As much as he's the fighter, he's the promoter, he's the fighter, he's the one bringing the money to the table. He's in control of the whole situation. So you have to respect that. You know what I mean?
Have to. Not to mention, dude, he is also, again, people are, oh, that's fake. That guy took a dive, da-da-da. Dude, besides all that, dude, the guy is a boxer. He just may not be like the best in the world. My question is, like, if he fought an actual current champion, would he get his ass kicked? Or because a lot of people are like, he's fighting these people in the past, because his coming up fight was Gervonta Davis, isn't it?
Yeah, there's levels to it.
So I like to say, you know what I mean?
But he's a current fighter.
Yeah, so Jake Paul, he's gonna get as far as he wants to get. You can't doubt somebody for what you think of him. It's really how much work he's put in. What I see about Jake Paul, he's turned into a boxer. He's really training with real trainers. He's putting bunts and he's putting all that work in. So you can't take nothing away from him. Obviously, everybody wants to see what would happen. I can't tell you what will happen until he gets that opportunity. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna sit up here, bash the guy, say, oh, yeah, get his fucking ass beat. I don't know. You know what I mean? So it's up to him to prove that to everybody.
Yeah.
Well, only because I don't follow the sport meticulously. I don't know who's current and who used to be. Like when I saw him fight Mike Tyson, I'm thinking, oh, dude, picked the wrong fight here. Tyson's gonna rip his head off. But hey, that didn't happen. So, but also Tyson's an ex-champion. He's older now. So my question is, if he fought someone like you or someone like, I don't know if you guys are even the same weight class, but if he fought a current world champion, would it be a no contest? Like that's getting ridiculous, or no? He's to a level where he could literally fight in the big leagues.
I mean, I'm telling you what I'll do. There's nobody gonna beat me. You know what I mean? I'd go in there. I would. It would be a great fight. I'll do to Jake Paul what I do to every other fight. Now, no disrespect to Jake Paul, but I've been boxing. There's stuff. I have a lot of more experience than him. You know, I've been boxing my whole life. You know what I mean? So there's certain stuff, there's certain situations I've been in boxing that Jake Paul has never felt. There's stuff that he hasn't seen. You know what I mean? And it's just levels. It's too different. But if you would want to fight me, you know, I would love the opportunity. I would love to fight him. You know what I mean? But like I know Jake Paul, I've seen him. He's a great guy, and there's no hard feelings to him. You know, he's a great fighter, and he's doing really good.
My question is, if I were you, if I was a freaking world champion boxer, I'd fight anybody, anytime as well, because you're getting paid no matter who you're fighting. So even if it's a Jake Paul or someone that's like, come on, man, you're not my class. Maybe you are, maybe you aren't. But if you're willing to give me $10 million, shit, I'll fight Jake Paul for $10 million, but no one's going to watch because it'll be over in a second. But like, if he said to you, yeah, let's fight, obviously you'd fight him, correct?
I don't turn no fights down. So yes, definitely I would fight him. If he wanted to fight me, I would fight him.
Yeah. So the question is why wouldn't you be fighting every single month with that kind of a pay plan?
It's because they won't pay me. They won't give me $10 million every month. You know what? I've only been fighting 2 times a year, and that's because I've been what I'm fighting. You know what I mean? That's just how I have my career right now, and I don't really get I don't get to choose how much times I get to fight.
Do they call you?
Yeah, they call me. I've only been fighting 2 times a year for like the past 5 years. So, what I mean? I think just for the longevity of my career, if you imagine you fight every month, you'd be done in probably 2 years.
Yeah.
Especially when you're fighting, high class fighters, when you're fighting other fighters, this shit, bro, after a fight, this shit takes a toll on your body. You know what I mean? So it's in my best interest. And so for me going for 2 fights a year, I could go another fucking 15 years. You know what I mean? So I'm moving at a great pace right now. I'm fighting to where like it's not. I'm still in love with the sport, and I'm not. When you fight that much, you kind of lose love of the sport a little bit because it's a lot of work. Not only, and then also too, it wouldn't really work because my training camps are 4 or 5 months. You know what I mean? And if I would fight every month, my training camps would be like 3 weeks, a month.
How much does it cost to slap a sign on your trunks?
Close to 100,000.
So if I send you $100,000, I can put whatever I want on your trunks.
Yeah,
dude. There's gonna be
if it's yours. If I'll give you a discount. I like you. I appreciate the podcast. So I'll give you a discount. You can give me 75,000.
Dude, listen. If you ask me, that's cheap. Like
that's pretty cheap. But like for me, like where I'm coming up, you know what I mean? I'm still putting in the work. I'm still building myself up. You know what I mean? I don't have as much, why would I say the word? I'm not as big as Jake Paul in the social media and this type of and in the boxing world I'm big, but I'm still making my way up. So the prices go up every fight, but at the end of the day, I feel comfortable with that.
Who sets the price though?
Me.
Well, that's your problem. You said $100,000. Someone's going to go, yeah, okay. What if you'd have said 250? They might have said, how about 100? You got to just ask for more because, dude, in my mind, $100,000 to be in front of all those eyeballs. Because, dude, there's no question your fight's going to be watched by a lot of people. Period. So that's worth more than $100,000. Is all I'm saying. But maybe I will. But I got to figure out which brand. But I might do that because again, shit, dude, it's just fun, first of all, to see it. And number two, you know, it's to me, it's like advertising, you know, they're going to see, well, what's this? Like, what if nobody, well, how about like boxer.com? Are those on the ring, the ring pads? Like, how does the advertising work when you're fighting? Or is it the promoter that gets to sell those spots, or is it you?
So right now, my contract is about to be over with my promoter, like the next 2 fights. Then I become my own promoter. You know what I mean? As for the business outside of, setting up the fight yourself, getting the money from the sponsors, putting it on the ring, that's something that I still haven't got to yet. But yeah, they're the ones like PBC, Premier Boxing Champions. I'm sure they cut a deal with whoever they want to cut, maybe Celsius, Netflix, this and that. So I haven't got to that part of my career yet, but I will soon. But yeah, they're the promoters are the ones that throw the event. They're the ones in charge of the sponsors, and they negotiate the purses and all that stuff.
So I did it in my fights that I put on here in Miami, the last 2 shows. So I had sponsors involved. They paid, to get on the canvases, on the rings. Even still today, there's no gym that actually gets high-level sponsorships. I brought in sponsorships. Like I just closed a deal with Xfinity. I put them on outside the building, and there's 200,000 cars that drive past on a daily. It's a matter of just maximizing that and getting big brands to come in and get visibility.
Well, let me make you guys some money. So number one, people listening, because there's a lot of people with a lot of brands that would love to be on your trunks. They'd love to be on your building. Who should they reach out to, David, if they want to literally slap their freaking name on your trunks for the November 22nd fight?
I could give you the contact of my father after, and then we could go from there. I don't want to give the number out right here, but should I put his number out? Should I give my dad's number?
Hey, listen, if you want someone to sponsor your shorts, I would, because there's someone listening to be like, fucking $100,000, I'll do it. Okay,
yeah, you could, if you want. They could let me get his email real quick.
Yeah, we'll get it to me, folks. It'll be in the notes. You guys are interested.
Okay, so if anybody is interested in that, they can send my father an email. It's Benavidez, so it's JBENAVIDEZ 44@yahoo.com.
There you go, folks. You guys want your name, your company name, your website. Obviously, it's got to be approved. I doubt he's going to let you put boner.com on his shorts, but if you're approved, dude, that is a cheap fee to be in front of all those eyeballs. And people always, like, every time I see someone with shit on their shorts or the ring, I always go to the website to see what it is, unless I obviously know what it is. Budweiser.com, I don't need to go, but sometimes I'll see like, such and such.com, and I'm like, I wonder what that is. And I go and look, oh, it's an energy drink. It's this, it's that. What about like people listening that want like boxing gloves and shit? Because again, I mean, do you have your own line of boxing gloves?
So we just did a collaboration with Everlast. Everlast, you already know, is one of the biggest brands in boxing.
Yeah.
So we've made a deal with them where we're coming out with a brand new line of Everlast gloves, apparel, wraps, the whole thing. They also sponsor the fighters and stuff, and they're also sponsoring the gym to do a whole gym fit out. So I'm always upgrading within the facility, and we're always bringing in new lines to be able to provide new value to the people.
People in your area, like Miami, obviously can go join the actual facility. You said there's 4. Are they all in Florida?
So we got 3 right now. They're all on the one block. So I have 3 buildings in downtown Miami. The address is 1310 Northeast 1st Avenue. We're right in the heart of the freeway, right next to Club 11 in downtown.
Club 11, isn't that the like nightclub / strip club?
That's correct. We're right next door there. Yep.
I was there one night, and old P Diddy was a couple booths down. That place was like off the chain. I'm like, damn, dude, this is like a nightclub mixed with a strip club.
So last year, we actually did the first time ever. He actually came through. I put the first ever boxing fight night in Club 11, and it went wild. You had every big name in that space. the place was going crazy. It was like the movie Fight Club. You would go in and you'd be in the crowd and it'd be, you know, packed. You'd have tables, money would be thrown into the ring. It was wild. It was great. It was a great experience.
Dude, when you see the fighters and they're always promoting their after parties after the fights, and a guy loses obviously every time and a guy wins, is it ever a time where like you're supposed to go to an after party because you're paid to go throw your after party at a nightclub, but like your eyes swollen, but you have to go anyway? Like, how does that work?
To be honest with you, I don't like to do that. I don't, only for that reason, because I'm 100% focused on my fight. And I feel like, you know, you're throwing a party after the fight, you're already kind of guaranteeing you win, which is not a problem for other fighters to do that. But for me, that's not how I do things. And I don't party after the fight. I just go to the fight. And, you know, if we do an appearance in the club, it might be weeks after the fight. But after the fight, we don't do no club after.
Especially maybe not in Saudi Arabia either, dude. Like they're pretty strict over there, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you fly private over there, or do they make you fly commercial?
Oh, so they're flying me on Emirates. They give me the business class. You know, so they're treating me good. I'm the main event, so I've worked my ass off to become the main event fighter. So now I'm living. I get the main event perks. You know what I mean? So.
And dude, Emirates, that's better than flying private. Like Emirates is the best airline I've ever been on in my life.
Yeah, you got that freaking chair that turned into a bed, and you know it's amazing. It's amazing.
Well, dude, listen. Obviously, I hope you crush your opponent. I'll be watching. Folks, if you guys want to sponsor, go ahead and reach out to the email that he provided. It'll be in the notes below. If you guys are interested in learning boxing, Boxer's probably the best facility all in one that you can find. You can look them up online. Mateo, how do people follow you?
Through IG. Our IG is really it's really good. It's really powerful. We update and do marketing and promoting every single day. Through my personal IG, Mateo Boxer, Mateo BOXR. And then you got the Boxer Gym page, which is just BOXRGYM.
And David, what's your IG?
My Instagram is Benavidez 300, BENAVIDEZ 300. And also I got my line of merch as well. You could get it at Benavidez.shop.
Benavidez.shop. All right, fellas. Well, listen, I appreciate you guys spending some time with me today. Folks, you guys just learned how to be a champion, how to freaking get some discipline, and how to build businesses. Double treat for you. Always as next time. And until next time, keep it real. Thanks for showing up, guys.
Thank you.